Hey guys, this is Dave the IT guy. I'm out in Vegas at the world famous BlackHat hacker event. If you've never been here, why the hell not? So this year is my third year and it's bigger and better than ever. We're coming at you from a very noisy platform, which is actually the quietest room in the house, if you can believe that. So with me right now, I've got Rocky DeStefano. Well, I'm about to mess his name up, and he's sitting in front of me, so he might kill me. He's with a company called Cloudera, and they're out here as well. They're one of the bigger companies here. They do a lot of cool stuff, and so I'm going to let him introduce himself and his company.
Thank you very much, Dave. So, Rocky DeStefano, and what Cloudera is really a platform to help companies build themselves a data-driven business. So when you hear terms like machine learning or artificial intelligence out in the IT world in general, where that rubber meets the road is really using Cloudera software. So traditionally you would have heard of Cloudera as a Hadoop vendor years ago. It's transitioned. It's not just HDFS storage. It's not just ingest of information. Now it's tools like Spark to deliver machine learning and AI capabilities to companies. So when it comes to why we're here at BlackHat, we're focusing on cybersecurity. We're really here to help organizations achieve better enterprise visibility. So traditionally, companies would use tools like SIEM or log management to gain visibility into all the threats that they face or just understand their own environment. We're here to give them a solution that can scale and do it cost effectively, and that they can layer different analytic techniques on top of it over time.
So when you talk about big data and machine learning, we're not talking about the Matrix, and we're not talking about the next coming of the Terminators, but we're talking about just a total influx of data from all kinds of sources, whether it be cloud-based or internal or application-based that's developing its own data. And you guys are taking that and putting it into what, readable mechanisms or some way for companies to dive deeper into that data?
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking about, when I phrase it as enterprise visibility, that encompasses logs from any machine, whether that's syslog or Windows logs or application or security device logs. But it also incorporates network information like NetFlow or even packets, session information, full PCAP data, all the way through artifacts like executables and PDFs, true application information, of course all the logs, endpoint information, user information. The idea is to give security analysts everything they could possibly need in one place, and then intelligently build analytics that can leverage that information. In terms of scale, yeah, you mentioned IoT and things like that. This is the world that we see today, where you have IoT and mobile and everybody's always connected, and you have software-defined everything. Software-defined networking, software-defined storage, software-defined CPUs coming. So instrumentation now is just everywhere, and we're talking about hundreds of millions, hundreds of billions, leading into trillions of events over time that need to be analyzed. And traditional tools just have never been able to get there in terms of scale, and certainly not cost effectively.
When you talk about using a single umbrella or a single pane of glass type of technology such as yours, where, when the end IT security person, whether they be someone new to the field or someone that's been in the field 10 years, where do they need to be from a knowledge-wise to be able to effectively use your software, use it and interpret the data that they're given, because they can certainly see it, but if they don't know what it means, so how user-friendly? Speak to a little bit of that if you can.
Yeah, it's definitely a concern, right? How do you make sense of all this data that exists everywhere? So we do a couple of things. We work as Cloudera, we work outside of cybersecurity across the business. And we find in many of the Global 8,000, the largest businesses in the world, they have Hadoop administration. They have staff that can build, manage, maintain all of these systems. So the underlying system is actually not as much of a concern as it might have been 5 years ago in terms of standing it up and leveraging that platform. But making use of the data is actually a key part part of this whole thing. So we partner with folks that have visualization tools or business intelligence tools that can overlay the data that exists inside of there, and they can access it through SQL or through search or through other mechanisms and expose that information for different use cases. So we have partners like Arcadia Data or Zoom Data that can visualize information very easily. We've got open source projects as well that help integrate and show all of the information. So we're working as part of a team on an open source project in the cybersecurity world called Apache Spot. And in this project, it has a visualization of the data. It has some machine learning built around looking for net flow, looking for DNS or proxy-borne threats. And it has a visualization and operational analytics to make it easier for the analyst.
When a company first approaches you guys and says, do us a demo or come give us some 10-minute elevator pitch on whatever it is that we need you to come in for, what's the most common reason right now? I mean, clearly it sounds like big data and how to do something with that data and form it into a way that's constructive. But how many weirdo, oddball kind of scenarios are you guys finding that you're able to help them with that you didn't really know that was going to be an oddball scenario you can help with when you were first getting into it?
Yeah, I think the thing that's been surprising for me is the number of CISOs that are working as part of their IT team to look at a better approach for big data across their enterprise. So traditionally, I've been in information security now for 24 years. And up until just a few years ago, everything was buy another product and put it in place. Have a project, buy a black box, put it in place, and it solves that problem. CISOs have expressed to us over the last couple of years that approach isn't going to work forever. We want to build a platform. We want to have one data lake, and we want applications that come in and install on top of that data lake that do analytic functions. So more and more we're getting involved in projects like that where they're saying, build us a data lake that we can leverage internally across our entire business, including cybersecurity, and then layer applications. In this case, we partner with tools like user behavior analytics tools like Secure Onyx, right? Plug in on top of what we do as the data lake, make it effective, and over time, they can replace these tools or add new tools and not lose the data underneath. So really what companies are looking for now is the ability to be flexible. Give me a place where I own all of my data. Give me a way that I can rip and replace products that solve a need. But in 3 years, if they no longer serve that need properly, give me the ability to eject them without losing all the data that I have stored there and created value from.
So with the data lake that you talked about, which we're just storing data in some form or fashion in some place, talk a little bit about what you guys have to do to either encrypt at rest or protect that data while it's just sitting there, and while it's in transit, if one of these other applications comes in. How much partnership are you guys dealing with these vendors saying, hey, either your API, whatever call they're using to get to the data is not secure? How much are you guys auditing those other third parties that you're partying up with so that it is secure?
Yeah, there's a couple of things in that. A couple of years ago, Cloudera acquired a company called Gazang, and Gazang offered encryption for data inside of Hadoop. So as part of Cloudera's offering, we actually secure the cluster. So we'll Kerberize the cluster to make sure all the authentication is proper, but we can also encrypt the data at rest, and we can also encrypt it in transit, and that's obviously in a security world one of the primary concerns. The other thing we're doing with the data to make sure it's accessible is we worked as a community in this Apache Spot community to define a standard for a data model for all the security information, so that all the data that comes in or is served by this platform is organized in such a way that applications or analytics can leverage it easily. So we've got this open data model, we've got things encrypted, and then on top of that, Cloudera has the ability to offer governance and full data lineage. So we can show you through all the metadata that exists how each piece of data has been accessed and by which applications or analytics, and even which users are accessing the information. So you can show the auditors we have control of our information, we know how and why it's being used, and we can prove that empirically.
So as we start winding down, talk a little bit about if there is such a thing as a target market for you guys, or if it's everybody, large, small, in the middle. Talk a little bit about what from the time that someone contacts you to maybe what that process looks like in a little bit. Obviously, everybody's going to be different, but if they want to partner up and talk to you guys, what does that look like for you guys from the time they call you to the time you're in and they're running your data or their data on your stuff, and then at the end of that, comment if you want to throw out some contact info, whether it be website, email, Twitter, whatever you want to do. Let's get that in there too.
So yeah, to explain like the engagement process and what do we see out there, we really see a couple of different ways that people engage us, right? So we have vendors that engage us and want to talk about how can they OEM or use Cloudera as their underpinning for their platform so they can deliver more scalable and more flexible analytics. So there's a process for that, and we love talking with all of our IT partners in that area because it's a mutually beneficial arrangement for everybody. But for those organizations that are really ready for a data-driven security program, it's usually those that are on the maturity curve, maybe at 2 or 3, really looking to get to a 4 over time. Right? Those are the organizations that understand that ongoing security is going to be an investment they make forever. Right? It's not just another project. It's those organizations that are committed to having security analysts look at the data and hunt for new threats, not just assume that their products are going to serve them all to them. So when we use all of that information, bring all of those guys together, that's really the market. It's usually, the largest couple thousand companies in the world that are data-driven, that really want to benefit from analytics, that understand the value of having all of their data in one place, and they want to make their analysts more effective. They don't want their analysts bouncing between 8 or 10 products to go find an answer. They want to have all the answers served in one place. So it's those organizations that want to find the answer quickly, want to find it completely, want to hunt for the next set of threats they should be looking at. Or it's those vendors that are looking to be innovative and extend their platform beyond their traditional relational databases into a data store and into an analytic technique that uses all of the data. Those are typically the places we're most successful in cybersecurity. About my contact information, sure. Cloudera is easy to reach. Twitter @Cloudera. Myself is @RockyD on Twitter. And on LinkedIn, I'm easy to find as well.
But when we do these interviews, it seems like 10 to 15 minutes goes by so fast. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Well, for those of you that have tuned in the past, you know that we don't normally do a lot of vendor-specific interviews, but this year I'm changing up a little bit because there is just so much change in the InfoSec or information security world of IT that if you don't know the changes are out there, then you're probably going to be one of those organizations that just get exposed. So you've got to stay up with the times, and this year we're going to talk to vendors all weekend long about what they do and how they can help, and hopefully you'll connect with one of them and keep yourself secure. Until the next time, I'm Dave the IT Guy. Don't forget, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern on any iHeartMedia radio station in the U.S., on the iHeartRadio app, and you can even find me on iTunes if you really have to. We'll see you soon.